Welcome to the latest Insurtech UK Fireside chat. I'm Matt Hodges-Long, CEO and co-founder of Track My Risks, as well as being the operations chair for the Insurtech UK Council. I'm joined today by Tobias from Tobias, who are a leading talent advisory and recruitment firm, but also most importantly, a really strong supporter of Insurtech UK. So over to Adam. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Tobias first?
Sure, absolutely. So we were founded, I founded it with my partner 15 years ago, and we've been working within the insurance sector for a long time. And with that, Insurtech as well. We became an Insurtech UK partner early 2019, and that's been great. You know, we've made some fantastic connections and really had some really good engagement with members and other partners as well.
That's great. So when we're looking at, as we're talking about hiring today, what are the key challenges as you're seeing them in the Insurtech sector at the moment in terms of getting the right people and getting them on time and building great Insurtech businesses as we're all trying to do and achieve?
Absolutely. There's a cycle that takes place normally with an Insurtech startup. Like any startup, the founders will go through their network of people they've either worked with before, or friends of friends, or associates. But that cycle can be exhausted fairly quickly, actually. And then there's an urgent rush for talent. You know, as the businesses scale, they get funding. There's an urgent need to find really good talent, and with that urgency comes some challenges. You know, there may not be a sort of carefully defined people strategy in place. Often hires are needed yesterday. And what tends to happen is organisations will reach out to many recruitment vendors trying to find those people in an urgent rush. There isn't a lot of process involved. And that can really affect retention. It's very expensive to hire people and then lose them fairly quickly. And also, there's not always a lot of long-term planning for those individuals as well. Where's their future lie? And that is common of lots of startup organisations, but particularly we're seeing that in the Insurtech space at the moment because of the rapid growth, new entrants, but also the rapid scaling as well of some of the organisations within the sector.
Okay, and following on from that, how a lot of people talk about is insurance sexy, or how do you attract young, bright talent to insurance as opposed to other areas of financial services or other areas within the tech space. How do you find that plays out with candidates when we talk to them?
There's lots of different kinds of roles, and it really depends on the organisation and the role. But actually, I think a lot of Insurtech businesses are pretty good at selling themselves, pretty good at talking about why it's an exciting opportunity. We know insurance is a very old industry, but there's a lot of change going on, and I think people are excited by change and innovation, and that's really apparent in the industry. That innovation, that's exciting, and so we don't see it as a case of people thinking, well, it's boring or it's not something that's going to inspire me. We all need insurance whether we like it or not, and some of the solutions that are coming out now, some of the products that are coming out, some of the new entrants to that market, it's really exciting stuff actually. And I think, switched on individuals really see the value there. The need for insurance isn't going anywhere. So, this is an opportunity to really revolutionise an industry that hasn't changed for hundreds of years.
So I think, following on from that, most of our members have a lot of technical staff, and many of those come from other parts of the world, and they choose to come to the UK not only to get involved in Insurtech, but also to come to the UK to live. So we're talking about change with all of the changes going on at the moment politically with Brexit, etc. Are you seeing increased nervousness amongst people to move and rebuild their lives here, or has it not really made a difference to you? Or
I mean, look, it's definitely an issue at the moment. I think that, there's no getting away from the fact that somebody looking to move to the UK, change their entire life, new home, new place to live, new job. There is, apprehension that we haven't seen, so far. I think people are waiting to see what happens. There are still people very keen to come. Certainly on the tech side, there's a lot of, great tech talent that comes into the UK, and that talent has a lot of opportunity actually, and I think right now they are being a bit wary.
You mentioned a moment ago about retention, so can we look at that in a bit more depth as to what advice would you give to Insurtech founders and boards around keeping hold of the right talent? What kind of incentives work? What kind of workspaces, environments? What insight can you give us?
Absolutely. I've touched on it. It's very expensive. Not just in terms of recruitment cost. You've got lost opportunity cost. You've got the impact on morale. You've got productivity issues. So getting it wrong, it happens, and it's very expensive, and it's very frustrating, and you have to go backwards sometimes. I would always encourage a behavioural profiling of potential candidates. And the reason I say that is it's really about understanding what that talent is motivated by, how best to manage that talent. The workforce is changing, the way we all work is changing, the future of work is changing, flexibility, all of these things play into what makes somebody happy in their job. When people leave, really basic stuff, do an exit interview. Understand, you don't always get the right answers or the honest answers in those situations, but try and understand what it is that really that attracted that person, but then why they left. We encourage our clients to do what I call stay interviews, actually. So it's outside of the appraisal process. A couple of times a year, sit down with your top performers and say, look, what is going to keep you here? What's going to make you stay? Really understanding what motivates people. And I like behavioural testing because it's not about catching people out. It's really understanding what motivates them. What are their career aspirations? So you're really addressing that right at the beginning of a process. What is someone's long-term aspirations? What do they want to achieve? How can the organisation work with them to help them achieve those aims? Feeling like your employer cares about you and has your interests at heart is really important. There's a lot of opportunity out there, right? And there's a war for talent. Good talent is getting tapped up all the time by other organisations, especially within the Insurtech sector, because the skills there's not a huge pool of candidates with specific Insurtech experience. People need to feel wanted. They need to be motivated and challenged, managed in the way that best suits them. So understanding is the most important thing, really understanding what makes people tick and having an ear, making sure you're open to their needs. It seems pretty straightforward stuff, but in the rush of all the activity we're all involved with all the time, it can be really forgotten. And most Insurtech businesses are built on the talent that they have in the business. Talent leaves every evening and comes back every morning, and that's the value of the business there. So really need to nurture that and make sure people are feeling that there's long-term opportunity, there's training, there's career opportunity, it's exciting and interesting. Sharing what's happening as well. People understand communication. All founders think we communicate really, really well, but quite often we communicate within our peer group, but don't necessarily share that to the wider team. And I think that's really important.
I think what's your view on sort of core values? Because in our business, from day one, we sat down and agreed what our core values were, and we've tried wherever possible to live by those for the last 5 years, and that's led to us parting company with a few members of staff because they didn't measure up. So do you take your clients through that sort of discussion to actually understand what are you about as a business, so you can hopefully marry the people with the same value set?
Absolutely. I think behaviours and values are actually far more important in the success of an individual or a workforce than necessarily previous experience in a particular role. If someone's got potential and ability and the right behaviours, actually the technical skills will come very quickly. So it's really important to marry those two up together. I think, organisations that spend time really thinking about what those values are. They're not just done in an afternoon, they become a framework for how people behave and operate. I think that's really, really important. And everyone living by that, and that really helps to match that. It's not so much about culture fit, it's about behaviours. It's about, believing in where the organisation is going, and those values actually mean something to the individual as well. They're not just a series of statements that are stuck on the wall somewhere. They actually mean something. There's some depth to them. I think that's really important, actually. Having someone from the very beginning of the process really understand what those values are and what they mean to them, and have them verbalise that, I think is quite powerful.
We were talking before about subject we're both very keen on, which is around diversity and inclusion, and we sort of found out we both do some work with ICANN. Can you talk us through your views as a firm on diversity and inclusion, and how that relates to the Insurtech sector and the opportunities that we have as founders to help in that regard?
Absolutely. I think there's two parts to diversity and inclusion, or inclusion and diversity as I prefer it, because inclusion comes first, diversity will happen sort of naturally after that. There's a moral and ethical aspect to this, of course, making sure that opportunity is equal to everyone and open to everyone. But I think what really drives change is showing organisations that it's actually a performance benefit as well. It's not just about doing the right thing. I would expect that anyway with any companies that we work with. It's actually about innovation. It's very easy to hire people who are in your own image, who are like you, who you have stuff in common with. We're all diverse in some ways. Our own personal culture, our personal values, our personality type, but also our personal experiences. Looking to build a diverse and inclusive organisation is a brilliant way of generating innovation. This industry is founded on innovation. I often talk to people about groupthink, which is when you get a group of people, a homogenous team, if you like, of people who all end up agreeing with each other all the time. Having some diversity in the room creates a bit of cognitive friction. And if carefully managed, that friction creates innovation. Looking at things in perhaps a counterintuitive way. But it doesn't come naturally. You have to really be careful about how you hire and really think about being inclusive. Am I reaching as wide an audience as possible? Are there underrepresented groups who we just don't seem to get through applications, or we don't seem to get through first round or second round? Why is that happening? And a lot of that can be sort of training with hiring managers around unconscious bias, but it can also be something that an organisation or the founders really target. We really want to make this an inclusive environment. How can we do that? Talking about it, open dialogue about it, targeting specific groups. That's not positive discrimination. That's just having positive action. Organisations that are diverse outperform their non-diverse competitors. That's a simple fact. So moral, ethical, but really focus on performance as well, and that's a real driver for change.
And how does the looking through to within Insurtech, looking forward to an exit, for example? How do you see the talent and teams within the business contributing to the value of that company on exit, or its attractiveness to a potential investor or purchaser? How do you see that playing out in due diligence?
Sure. I think, exit can be quite a scary topic for employees, actually, because it's all change. The organisation they've invested in, the people they've invested in, the values they've invested in, the product they've invested in is going to change somewhat when there's a sale. So for me, personally, I believe that open communication is really important. Not saying stuff too soon. We're building this to exit, but actually when those conversations start to happen, sharing information. Now, some people are going to look at other opportunities at that point. That's a natural cycle. But really sharing, open communication, addressing people's fears, because there are going to be fears around that. As long as people are aware what's happening, there's no surprises, actually, it can be quite an exciting change as well. Often when that happens, there's a big amount of investment that goes on. It can be quite exciting, part of a larger organisation potentially, and that can be appealing, as long as it's communicated well.
So to wrap up, if looking at this from a Insurtech founder or CEO's perspective, what based on all of your knowledge, what were the three key top tips, plucking 3 rather than 5, before you start going on a recruitment journey or whatever? What are the basics to get right first?
Well, I think,
apart from employing you guys, of course.
Yeah, I think interestingly, we have a model that we've just developed for a couple of the Insurtech UK members, which is really about a managed recruitment process from an outsourcing point of view. And that's not delegating authority for recruitment. That's working with an organisation that understands your business, works with existing vendors, looks to drive cost down, because cost can get out of control a little bit with hiring, but also manage the quality and the time. I think that's one solution. But from taking it back just to sort of 3 general tips, I think working with recruitment and talent partners who are invested in your organisation. It's not about making a fee. It's not about filling a job. It's really about and making a fee. It's really about developing a long-term relationship. People who understand those values that you talked about and can really verbalise them. They are your ambassadors to your talent. So that brand awareness to Insurtech businesses can be quite small. They may not be known to talent in advance. So how you represent, how that your partners are representing your business as ambassadors is really important. I think being open-minded about talent, where it comes from. We focus very much on previous experience in a particular sector. As I mentioned, a lot of those skills can be learnt quite quickly if you've got the right person, someone who's got a lot of potential, who's got the right behaviours, looking at how we interview people, what an interview generally tests is someone's ability to interview, not do the job.
Yeah.
So behavioural testing, working interviews, really good way of seeing how someone interacts. And I think really importantly is having a bit of a strategy around your talent, what the future is. So you're not having to react all the time to vacancies. It's not an urgent rush, we must have this person. And when that happens, quality generally drops. Long planning, sourcing potential candidates way in advance of need. So when you do need them, they're there. I think, that alone will make a difference, and just really working with partners who understand your business, I think is really, really important.
That's fantastic. So thank you very much for coming in.
Pleasure. Thank you.
And for more fireside chats with Insurtech UK, please head over to Insurtech UK's website or our YouTube channel, or I think even our LinkedIn page where we post them. I've been Matt Hodges Long. Adam's been Adam from Tobias. And thank you very much for watching.